Hello musicians, Bucky Dirtle here, welcome back. I'm doing another video tutorial on the VCV Rack DAW, which is an open source workstation. And specifically I'm doing a tutorial today, this is part 2 of SEQ-3, SEQ-3, which is right here as part of the fundamental module pack. Now, in the last tutorial, part 1 of Sequence 3, I talked about my setup here where I did my flow through all the cabling. So if you want to see how this is cabled up in order to make this work, then please refer to that earlier tutorial, rather than me repeat myself here now. Okay, so in today's tutorial on Sequence 3, I want to talk about 3 specific things. I want to talk about the rows. We have 3 rows of buttons here. 3 rows of dials right here. I also want to talk about some frequency modulation and how that works here on Sequence 3. And we're going to talk about how control velocity control voltage can control the controls, can control the dials and things on this on our sequencer. Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk first about the rows. Now you'll see here across the top we have row 1, row 2, and row 3. And 3 of these have separate outputs that we have here. And I have them going down to our quantizer, which puts it into a key for us. The row 1 is this row, okay? And you can see I have my dials kind of randomly set here. Row 2 is right here, row 3. Let's have a listen to what row 1 sounds like first of all. Okay, so that's row 1, and actually, you know what? We're on major. Let's put ourselves into Indian. This must be a raga of some sort. Actually, no. Let's go to blues. Okay, so this is row 1 we're hearing here now. I'm not going to bother with the dials. I'm going to talk about the dials in a minute. Let's move it over to row 2. So this is a new set of notes. And row 3. These are pretty crazy. These are pretty crazy the way these are set. But this is row 3. Okay, so you may want, let me stop that one. You may want to output row 1 to something, row 2 to something, and row 3 to something. In fact, think about this for a second. What we're hearing right now is 1 note at a time. We don't have to hear 1 note at a time. We can hear 2 notes at a time if we wanted. Right now we have a VCA right here. We could always have another VCA, another ADSR, and another VCO right here. We can wire all these up the same as we wired up the first. Put a mixer in the mix right here, and then we can, if we were to do this, put our mixer in, and then come out of here into line 1. We wire all these up the same way as we wired up. Oh, I don't need to do that. Actually, we already have our mixer, our VCO. We could have taken the VCO. Our VCO has 2 levels to it, but that's okay. No big deal. Go to my line in there, and then we're going to go for my, I need another quantizer. And that is a Autodave. Oh, sorry, no it's not. JW modules, quantizer. And we'll go out of our quantizer into our voltage per octave, and out of our, and we're going to row 2. Now let's hear what we have. We have nothing because my volumes are turned down. There we go. Now let's try it. Oh, my gate's not set. Now listen to that. We now have 2 notes running off the same sequencer, same clock, We have 2 notes. So if I wanted to, I could, make these, I could, if I wanted to be careful with these, I could make these harmonize with one another, have a harmony part. Here we go. So you see, oh, I should be in blues scale. My blues scale, and I should be in D sharp. Sorry. They both be in the same. So now they should, in theory, be playing in harmonized notes. And I'm sure if I was to choose my notes carefully, it would probably sound a lot better than what it is. But the idea here is that now we have the sequencer doing 2 rows of notes. We could have 3. And if you sync another sequencer together, you can have 6. So you can have all kinds of polyphony, all kinds of polyphony going on here. It's very cool, very cool. So now you can see here how we can have 2 rows of notes going at the same time. So very cool stuff. Now, that is the rows. And we are just scratching the surface of that stuff. Now, I also want to talk to you about control voltage. Now, sorry. Frequency modulation. And I was just demonstrating that because you see how when I rotate, I'm on number 1 of row 1. When I rotate these dials, it's letting me choose a new pitch. And if I didn't have my quantizer put in the mix here, it would just be random, any kind of frequency whatsoever. There would be no diatonic right or wrongness to it. It would just be pitches. Just frequencies all over the map by the fractions. But by setting these dials, I am doing that. I'm changing the pitches, which is cool. I mean, it doesn't. You can have whatever pitches you want. This is we're modulating our frequency by doing that, by changing these pitches, and it's going in through our voltage per octave here. Now, so that's how that works. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about is control velocity of controls. So let me move this guy over here out of the way a little bit. And you know what I'm going to do? Just for the sake of clarity here, I'm going to delete these guys because I want to keep it somewhat tidy here, and that was really messy. So now, let me do an LFO over here. Let me just insert a little LFO. And we know LFOs, we can use our control velocity from an LFO to control all kinds of things. So if I wanted to just get rid of my external clock, I can get my LFO to control this guy here, the clock. So let's just see what happens with that. Let's push play and see what happens. Boy, that's going fast. That red humming sound, that's it going through the notes so fast. Now, so that's pretty crazy. Useful? Probably not. And our reset button can be set as well. It can be reset with control voltage as well. You see, so I just reset it then. So I'm actually using the edge of a square wave, to set that off. We can do that with a bit more finesse if we wanted to. And then, of course, we can also change their steps. So you can see here our steps are being altered. If you watch the numbers, the lights across here, you can see every now and then they'll stop and go back to the beginning because it's resetting the number of steps that are in the sequence. Depending on where it is in the waveform here on the LFO. It may give us 2 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 8 steps, whatever, but it will be changing it as we go. So very cool stuff. Steps are changeable as well, so it's very cool. So that's more functions of the SEQ-3, and this is part 2 of this short series on the SEQ-3, SEQ-3. I think we're going to say SEQ-3, sequencer 3. So there's a few more options, a few more things we want to talk about in sequencer 3, but we're going to leave that for another episode, another tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this. Be sure to go to the developer's website and show your support for this open source project. And good luck with your music, and I will see you next time.